Hi, my name is Bob and welcome to the homestead, y'all. Well, today we're building a Hugel bed. It's not going to be a traditional Hugel bed. In Hugelkultur, most Hugel beds are made for vegetables. People build them to grow vegetables. They pile their wood up several feet high. And the whole purpose of it's to feed your plants, to build better soil. But what we're building is a Hugel bed for flowers. Christy got a great deal on a bunch of dahlias, on a bunch of tulips, some gladolias, irises, and several other bulbs. And we needed a bed to put them in. And our soil around here is terrible. It's real sandy, rocky. It has a real low pH, so it's very acidic. And building a Hugel bed like this is one way to help improve your soil. We had a bunch of rotten wood sitting around here on the homestead, so we've laid it all out. We're not going to build a huge mound. We're just going to use the wood that we have here. We've laid it pretty much flat and took small sticks and stuck in between all the logs. Now this is rotten wood. It's very rotten. It's not good for anything else but to improve the soil. So this is a great way to improve your soil and to build basically a raised bed on top of your soil. There is a few things building a Hugel bed. It takes a lot of labor. Christy and I have laid this out over several days time. We've had this wood just sitting out all winter long. We got a good rain on it last night. But we've laid this out in several days times, and then not just laying the wood out, but building your layers on top of each other. It's very labor intensive and it takes a lot of material. We're fortunate enough to have the material right here on the homestead to build a bed like this. But what we're going to do is, now that we have all the wood laid out, it's roughly 5 feet wide, over 30 feet long. We're going to come in and put manure on top of this first. You can see at the other end I already have some manure where I cleaned the Hope stall out, our American guinea hog, one of them. I cleaned her stall out, but we're going to put manure on this. I have buckets over here full of cow manure. We have horse manure, and then we have chicken manure too. And the reason we're going to put manure down on top of the logs first is because by putting a high nitrogen source on top of these logs, it's going to break them down quicker. It's going to attract more earthworms into the Hugel pile, and it'll break this down and turn it into good soil a lot faster. Now, when you're building one of these beds, it's best to use rotten wood. The more rotten it is, the better off it is. Now, if you just go and cut a tree down and then put it right into your bed, it's going to take it a lot longer to break down. So by using this rotten wood, this is going to turn into usable soil faster. Within 4 or 5 years, most of this is going to break down. There may be a few of the bigger ones that aren't broke down in 4 or 5 years, but most of this will be broke down into wonderful soil in 4 or 5 years' time. But the next step is putting manure down. And then after we put manure on it, then we're going to put leaves. We have a bunch of bags of leaves that we're just going to pile up leaves on top of this. Then we'll put more compost on top of that. And then we're going to finish it off with wood chips. And the wood chips will just keep the compost from getting washed away. It'll help keep weeds down. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to plant all our bulbs. So this video, we're just going to go through building the bed, and then we'll do a separate video on planting all the bulbs. So I'm going to do a time lapse basically on most of this. I'll stop and I'll explain each step in between. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Okay, we have all our fresh manure down. Have all the logs pretty much covered. You can see the whole way, over 30 feet long, 5 feet wide. Now the next step is going to be piling leaves on top of that. So we have several bags of leaves. You can see one sitting right here. I have 4 or 5 more bags sitting in the garden spot that I'm going to grab. But the next step, what we'll do is we'll take the leaves and we'll pile them up in the center and along the sides and let it mound over onto the sides. Christy and I finished up our Hugel bed. As you can see, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of manual labor involved. But just a quick recap, we laid the logs down first, and then we put manure down, just pure manure. And then we put leaves down, and then compost on top of that. And then we topped it off with these wood chips. We've had a pile of wood chips sitting up here for about 2 years now, 2.5 years. It's starting to rot real well. So we topped it off with that, so that way the rain doesn't wash off our good compost off the top of it, our mushroom dirt. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna plant flowers in this. So we're gonna come down through here, the whole 30-foot length, and plant it full of flowers. Mostly bulbs are gonna go in this. We may plant a few annuals in it later in the year. But we're gonna make another video on that, and when I get that video posted, I'll put the link in the description below so you can see what flowers we planted and how we planted them. But if you have any questions on a Hugel bed, please leave them below, any comments, and as always, thanks for watching.